My name is Jerry Neighbors, and I'm proud to be the mayor of Flagstaff. Flagstaff is the first city in the United States as a designated STEM city. We take that designation seriously, and the biosciences are important to Flagstaff. I want to thank the Flynn Foundation for its 10 years of support of the Bioscience Roadmap. Biosciences are not just important to Flagstaff's economy, they are important to the future of our country.
The landscape of Arizona biosciences has rapidly matured in the past decade. From Flagstaff to Tucson, we have major independent and university research institutes, cutting-edge research facilities, incubators and accelerators, companies of all sizes, and bioscience education and training programs. Through collaboration and dedicated community effort, we have traveled the road together, and Flagstaff's bioscience industry has accelerated. We're happy to share with you some of the highlights from this past year.
Flagstaff is a STEM city. We have a number of great bioscience institutions for sure, but we also have a number of other science and technology entities in town, from the private sector all the way to the government sector. We also have great schools, and we have really fantastic educators that strive to give those STEM-related opportunities to their students to really improve their education. And so what we're trying to do is really pull those two things together, those institutions and the schools, to really make sure that we have educational excellence here in Flagstaff. We think of the 4 H's. We think of educate, innovate, incubate, and accelerate. So we're really good on the education side, but we're also really good on those other ones. We have great innovations coming out of these institutions and out of our colleges. And then we also are really good at incubation. We have NACET and other tools in Flagstaff that really help new ideas get off the ground. And now we're really focusing on acceleration.
As the bioscience sector continues to grow here in Flagstaff, we here at the Coconino County Career Center have been privileged to collaborate with some outstanding local employers and organizations to support that growth. For example, we've funded internships at TGen North and Sinestech, which are premier bioscience employers in our community. Most recently, we partnered with NACET to sponsor a tour for 50 middle school pre-engineering students as part of a STEM learning initiative. The students were able to tour NACET and get a first-hand view of the energy and excitement that's going on with some businesses that are incubating right here in Flagstaff. So our efforts are focused right now on educating, informing, and truly inspiring youth to take a look at jobs that will benefit both the economic vitality of our community and their career success.
Coconino Community College supports science, technology, engineering, and math, as well as career and technology programs throughout our county. In addition, through our Community and Corporate Learning Program, we support business and industry with their training needs so that they are a strong contributor to our county for economic vitality, workforce development, and the general health and well-being of our community. Coconino Community College will continue to meet the needs of our growing community.
I am a research assistant professor at the Center for Microbial Genetics and Genomics. We're a large lab with about 65 individuals, including several faculty members and about 25 undergraduates. My work in particular works on diseases of wildlife, livestock, and humans, and really the intersection of those three, and what we call zoonotic diseases. So these are diseases that are transferred from animals to humans. One recent project is on white nose syndrome, which is a fungal pathogen that has killed millions of bats of the eastern United States and Canada over roughly the past 5 years. Specifically, we're looking at the genomics of this pathogen to really look at the dispersal and transmission of this pathogen across the landscape. The overall goal of our research is to improve both animal and human health.
This past year, we received funding to purchase the King Count. It allows us to isokinetically assess muscular strength, both concentric and eccentrically, pre and post some therapeutic intervention on patients. This research is important because it allows us to develop new potential therapies and quantitatively assess previous therapies for patients that suffer from musculotendinous disorders.
I'm an exercise physiologist. I study oxidative stress, aging, and exercise. The big picture focus on my lab is really on prevention of chronic diseases or promoting successful aging. And the reason why I find oxidative stress so interesting is because if you have too much of it, it certainly leads to cellular damage and tissue damage, and is involved in the etiology of many chronic diseases such as cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, and others. However, it's also a necessary component and very important in cell signaling and keeping the cell functioning properly. So the question is, how can we have this ideal balance and the right amount of oxidative stress? So I think the best strategy, in fact, is to fight fire with fire and to use oxidative stress, brief amounts of it, to help the body upregulate or increase their own endogenous defense systems. So how do we do that? By using exercise. And in our previous studies, we've already shown that both aging and physical fitness is associated with changes in the resistance to oxidative stress.
Here in our protein chemistry lab at NAU, we're interested in understanding protein-protein interactions and how they relate to the development of different disease states within the body. In particular, one of our interests is understanding how a protein without a well-ordered structure recognizes a very specific target within inside of a cell. So, by understanding how this process happens normally, we can understand how it breaks down in various diseases such as cancer or in neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's. Because of the fundamental importance of protein-protein interactions, the understanding we're developing in our lab will have impact on a variety of diseases in the future.
I'm an analytical chemist who focuses on environmental chemistry. My research over the past few years has been involved with looking at chronic exposure to uranium with respect to the abandoned uranium mines out on the Navajo reservation. So I'm actually a member of the Navajo tribe, and so my research has involved not only the science but also working with the communities out on the Navajo reservation in order to understand some of the issues, to collect field samples, and to report back our findings. We have looked at water, we've looked at soil, we've looked at plants, and also a little bit of livestock in terms of how the Navajo people are being exposed to uranium. The objective of what we're trying to do in my research group is to understand any type of cause and effect with respect to the chronic uranium exposure and potentially cancer-causing issues. So we work with collaborators down at the University of Arizona Cancer Center to understand how the exposures that we're identifying could potentially cause cancer.
I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Physical Therapy and Athletic Training, and my specialty is really in physical activity interventions. Over the past year, we've been able to secure funding for an Alter-G anti-gravity treadmill, as you see here. And what it really does is it's sort of a fancy treadmill that blows up an air bubble around you that makes it easier for people to move or run. And we've had people on here ranging from elite runners who run a sub-4-minute mile or went to the Olympics to people with a spinal cord injury who can walk about half a mile an hour. And on the machine, it's easier for them to walk. So really what we are looking for in the future of doing is increasing our collaboration with departments of health sciences, physical therapy and athletic training, and exercise science to really develop some interventions that can help people regain their function, improve their quality of life, and just help them be more physically active.
I'm a computational biologist, and my lab is working on studying the human microbiome, which is the literally trillions of microorganisms that live in and on our bodies. Now, if you take any two human individuals and compare their human genome, you'll find that they're almost identical, but if you were to compare their microbiomes, you'd find that they can be very different from one another. And over the last few years, we've been learning that these differences can be associated with disease states. So for example, the gut microbiome can be associated with obesity. My lab is primarily interested in studying temporal variation in the human microbiome. So in other words, how the composition of microorganisms living in and on our bodies is changing on a day-to-day basis. In one current project, we've recruited a student population who have donated microbiome samples over a 10-week period, and we can use these samples to get an idea of what normal variation looks like in the human microbiome, which we ultimately hope will allow us to detect abnormal changes in the human microbiome, which we think may be precursors for certain disease states. So ultimately, where we hope to go with this is that we may have human microbiome-based treatments of disease.
I am an associate professor of biology and a geneticist at Northern Arizona University, and I study the evolution of genetic variation in natural populations, but especially in humans. Two of the projects in my lab were focused on two different diseases. One is on the evolution of malaria resistance in island Southeast Asia, and the second project focuses on identifying non-coding genetic variants that affect prostate cancer aggressiveness. In the future, what we would like to do is link the genetic variants that we find in our lab with phenotypic outcomes in terms of patterns of disease susceptibility and resistance.
NASET is a business incubation program last year housing 28 companies. Of those 28, 3 were life science companies. Companies such as Protein Genomics, who uses a large amount of interns from NAU, Pathogene, working on early detectors of MRSA and valley fever, and Bioveteria, who expanded its employment opportunities in our community. Also during the year, we saw expansion of our core laboratories through a generous grant through the Coconino County Career Center to expand equipment for the company's use in their research. In addition to that, we also saw our first half STEM days, bringing middle school students into the incubator, doing research in our labs, understanding what life science opportunities actually exist for them. Overall, last year, life science companies had an incredible impact on our community, not only from an economic level of creating high-wage jobs, but also at an educational level, impacting both our university and middle school students.
Flagstaff Medical Center is part of Northern Arizona Healthcare. We have a trauma center which takes care of a large geographic area in our state. As part of our trauma program, our cardiologists and our intensivists are doing more research, and we expect that to expand over the next several years. Flagstaff Medical Center will be expanding our facilities, not only here in the city, but in other parts of Northern Arizona.
At TGen North, we're a nonprofit research institute that's focused on making new scientific discoveries and translating those into positive impacts in human health. Most importantly for us, it's infectious disease. So we're developing new diagnostic tools to help clinics identify infectious disease, but we're also helping develop new analytical tools to help public health officials identify disease outbreaks and quickly respond to those. This is an area that we've seen a lot of growth in the past 5 years, and in fact TGen North is only 5 years old. We just celebrated our 5th year anniversary this past year. We've grown from 4 employees to 40 employees. We've published dozens of scientific papers, had new inventions and patents, and even spun off businesses. So we're doing really well on the translational side of our mission. One of the things I'm most excited about is that we've expanded educational outreach as part of our mission here at TGen North. We've really reached out and working with the middle schools and the high schoolers, bringing them in, giving them that kind of hands-on experiential learning, which is really inspirational. You get excited about science, so it really helps with the overall STEM education opportunities in town. But maybe more importantly, it's also for workforce development. I know in about 5 or 6 years I'm going to see these 8th graders again coming through looking for an undergraduate internship, and we'll have a home for them here at TGen North.
W.L. Gore & Associates is a global technology company. Our scientists and engineers use their bioscience background to design and develop products that save and ensure long and healthy lives for our patients. Biosciences is critical for our vision at Gore to not only grow and expand our business, but to help the lives of our patients. The growth of our products has enabled us to grow here in Flagstaff, Arizona to over 2,000 associates, and in Phoenix to over 600 associates. We continue to see strong and healthy growth in Arizona and abroad, and we're thankful for those engineers and scientists for what they bring to our community and to our company.
Mountain Heart Health Services is an experiment in healthcare delivery to see if merging the latest science to lean management techniques will create better outcomes at lower prices. Mountain Heart provides cardiology, sleep, vein, cardiac rehab, nutritional, diagnostic, and wellness services to patients throughout Arizona, with more than a few traveling from Nevada, Utah, and New Mexico, allowing us to become the largest and most referred to group in Northern Arizona. Our various clinical directors' constant focus on latest breakthroughs in biohealth science enable us to deliver genetic testing, transradial catheterization, advanced lipid management, and cutting-edge imaging to rural patients who otherwise would not have access to these services at this price point. With outreach clinics in Sedona, Page, and Winslow, Mountain Heart is a medical resource to over 500,000 people.
NorChem is a bioscience and technology company. We provide forensic drug testing services to a variety of probation departments, criminal justice agencies around the country. We have 55 employees here in Flagstaff in our lab. We process about 5,500 samples a day. They arrive bright and early at 5 a.m. and we get them all processed by 5 p.m. We provide a web-based portal to our customers, locally developed by a group of programmers, that gives them a really good substance abuse case management system. They can log on, they can enroll people into this system, people that have been mandated by the courts to go through a drug testing program. They can arrange the randomization, tell their parolees to call our IVR system every day, and it notifies them as to whether or not they're supposed to come in for a drug test. It lets their probation officer know if they called and whether or not they reported for their drug tests. Once they do report, we have the facility that does the collections send the sample directly to our lab here in Flagstaff, where we process it the next day, and we result that back out to our customer via the web portal, Sentry. If there's any abnormalities, we alert them to the abnormality, either on the screens where they work, or we do it through a special reporting to their cell phone or to their email. So hopefully our little bioscience company here is keeping our probation offices and criminal justice agencies well served in the substance abuse monitoring marketplace.
Print is the worldwide leader in custom medical thermoform packaging. We supply customers all over the world through our international facilities, and out of Arizona supply the western US and Mexico. Cutting-edge medical technology requires cutting-edge packaging solutions. That's what Print provides through our research and development efforts out of our headquarters. We provide a means for our customers to safely bring their product to market. As the medical community continues to innovate, Print will continue to grow with them worldwide to continue to meet their needs.
SenesTech is a company that has just had a banner year. I know you haven't seen much of me in the community, but I have been traveling extensively as we are within 12 months of our first major product revenue, which is exciting to the community and to us. I think what's important is to understand that what we've done is we've expanded into a facility where we can do our own research-based manufacturing here. Our research market is not large, that's revenue with a little r, but it's sustainable and it helps us. It helps to also know that the National Institutes of Health have given us $1.1 million to grow our technology worldwide. That's created 5 jobs right here in our little company. The other thing that grant has done is it brought New York City to our doorstep. And we are doing the beta testing right now in New York City for our product. Our EPA registration has already begun, and we're looking at a label the first quarter of 2014. And what that means to our shareholders is revenue. What it means to Flagstaff in this community is jobs. Biotechnology is something that requires a nexus. And all of you out there have companies that I have called on to either borrow equipment or staff, and I just want to thank you all. And I want to say that SenesTech is alive and well and really proud to be a part of this community.
As you can clearly see through our travels, Flagstaff has accelerated down the road with much growth and development in the area of bioscience, and our future is bright, but we have one more stop.
For the past 2 years, we have worked in partnership with a number of agencies to build a business accelerator on top of Midland Mesa. Those agencies are the Economic Development Administration, Arizona Commerce Authority, Northern Arizona University, NACET, NACOG, and ECONA.
This project will bring 300 new jobs and provide flexible space for Tier 2 companies and graduates of NACET. We will focus on growing our own and further enhancing the economic gardening and entrepreneurial spirit in Northern Arizona. This 25,000 square foot building will include wet and dry laboratories, light manufacturing space, a conference room, and also an emergency operations center.
This project is funded in about $7.6 million. We are looking to advertise design March of 2013 and start construction May of 2014, and then we'll be very excited to occupy the building in April of 2015.
The biosciences are alive and well in Flagstaff. As a community, we will travel this road together, making our mark on the map and contributing to the economic vitality of the state of Arizona.